Somewhere in the middle of a Chinese desert, there's a field of black glass that stretches farther than your eyes can follow. No chimneys, no smoke, no giant cooling towers pushing steam into the sky. And yet, this single stretch of land helps keep the lights on for millions of homes. That is strange, right? Because everything we were taught about electricity involves a power plant. A big, loud, polluting power plant. But China has been quietly building something different. Something that breaks the old rule. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how a country of 1.4 billion people is keeping its cities lit up without relying on the kind of power plants we grew up thinking were necessary. Before we go further, if you are someone who likes understanding how the world actually works, behind the headlines, behind the politics, just the raw mechanics of how things function, hit subscribe right now. Because this channel breaks down exactly these kinds of stories, quietly, clearly, without the noise. Now let's talk about why this matters. For over 100 years, electricity has meant one thing: burn something, coal, gas, oil, burn it, boil water, spin a turbine, generate power. That has been the backbone of every industrial nation on Earth. America built its grid this way, Europe built its grid this way, and for a long time, China did too. If you have ever seen old photos of Chinese cities from the 90s or early 2000s, you already know what that looked like. Gray skies, thick smog, factories running around the clock. China was, for a long time, the symbol of what happens when a country grows fast but burns dirty to do it. But here is the part that most people missed. While the rest of the world was still debating whether renewable energy was even realistic at scale, China was already building it, not in small pilot projects, not in little test towns, at a scale that is honestly hard to picture in your head. Entire deserts turned into solar fields, entire mountain ranges lined with wind turbines, rivers dammed not just for flood control, but to generate power on a scale that dwarfs almost anything else on the planet. This did not happen overnight. It happened step by step, decision by decision, over almost 2 decades. And most people outside China simply were not paying attention while it was happening. So here's the real question. If a power plant, in the traditional sense, means burning fuel to boil water to spin a turbine, then what exactly is China doing instead? The answer sits in 3 very different technologies working together, almost like 3 different engines pulling the same train. The first is solar, not solar panels on a few rooftops here and there. We're talking about solar farms so large that some of them are genuinely visible from satellite images, sitting in deserts where almost nothing else grows, where land was once considered worthless. That land is now some of the most valuable real estate in the entire energy world because sunlight there is nearly constant, and there's nobody around to complain about the view. The second piece is wind. And this is where it gets interesting because a lot of people picture a few windmills on a hillside when they think of wind power. That is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about wind farms stretched across provinces, in some cases connected in long chains that run for hundreds of kilometers. Onshore, in the mountains and plains where wind is strong and steady, and increasingly offshore, in the ocean, where turbines taller than skyscrapers spin quietly far from any city noise, catching wind that never really stops blowing. And the third piece, the one people forget the most, is water, hydroelectric power. China is home to some of the largest dams ever constructed by human beings. Structures so massive that they have physically altered the flow of major rivers. These are not small local dams providing power to one town. These are national-scale infrastructure projects that feed electricity into grids, covering hundreds of millions of people at once. Now, if you put those 3 things together, solar, wind, and hydro, working at a scale most countries have never even attempted, you start to understand how a country can generate a staggering amount of electricity without depending on the traditional model of burning fuel in a plant. But here is where the story gets even more interesting, because generating electricity is actually the easy part. The harder part, the part almost nobody talks about, is what happens after the electricity is generated. Because sunlight does not shine at night. Wind does not blow all the time. Rivers can run low in a drought. So how do you keep a country of 1.4 billion people powered 24 hours a day when your main sources of electricity are, by nature, unpredictable? That is the real puzzle. And that is exactly where we are going next. Because the answer involves something most people have never even heard of. A piece of the puzzle that quietly solves the biggest weakness of renewable energy. Stay with me, because this next part is where everything starts to click into place. So let's go back to the puzzle we left off with. Solar panels stop producing electricity the moment the sun goes down. Wind turbines slow down or stop completely when the air goes still. And rivers, no matter how big, can run low during dry seasons. If a country depends heavily on these 3 sources, there should be constant blackouts, right? Cities going dark every night, factories stopping every time the wind calms down. But that is not what happens in China. And the reason why comes down to a concept most people outside the energy world have never even heard of: storage. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a giant water tank. During the day when it rains heavily, you collect way more water than you need. Instead of letting that extra water go to waste, you store it. Then, at night, when there is no rain at all, you use the stored water instead of going without. Electricity storage works on a similar idea, except instead of water, we are talking about massive batteries and clever engineering tricks that store energy when there is too much of it, and release it when there is not enough. One of the biggest methods China uses is something called pumped hydro storage. Here is the simple version. When solar and wind are producing more electricity than the country needs, that extra electricity is used to pump water uphill into a reservoir. It sounds almost too simple to work, but it is one of the most effective storage systems ever built. Then later, when the sun goes down or the wind dies, that same water is released back downhill, flowing through turbines, generating electricity exactly when it is needed most. It is essentially using gravity as a giant battery. And China has built more of these pumped hydro storage stations than any other country on Earth, by a significant margin. But that is only one piece of the storage puzzle. The other piece is something you have probably heard of, even if you did not realize it was connected to electricity grids: massive battery farms. Not the small battery in your phone or your laptop. We are talking about warehouses filled with thousands of industrial-scale batteries, all connected together, storing electricity, the same way a phone charger stores power for later use, except at a scale that can support entire cities. China has been building these battery storage facilities at a pace that genuinely surprised energy analysts around the world, because for years, battery storage was considered too expensive to matter at a national level. China simply refused to accept that limitation and kept pushing the technology and the manufacturing scale until the price came down low enough to make it practical. Now here is where the story becomes even more fascinating, because generating electricity and storing electricity are still not the full picture. There's a third piece that ties everything together, and it might be the most underrated part of the entire system: the grid itself. Think of the grid as the highway system for electricity. It does not matter how much power you generate if you cannot move it efficiently from where it is produced to where it is actually needed. And this is a problem almost unique to China because of its sheer geography. The best solar regions are in the western deserts, the best wind regions are often in the north. But the cities that actually need the electricity, the massive population centers, are mostly in the east, sometimes thousands of kilometers away. To solve this, China built something most countries have never even attempted: ultra-high voltage transmission lines. These are not your typical power lines running along the highway. These are massive transmission corridors specifically engineered to carry electricity over extremely long distances with very little energy lost along the way. Some of these lines stretch over 2,000 kilometers, moving electricity from a solar farm in the desert directly to a city on the coast, almost like a dedicated electrical expressway with no traffic and no stops. When you put all three of these pieces together, generation from solar, wind, and hydro, storage through pumped hydro and massive batteries, and transmission through ultra-high voltage power lines, you start to see the full picture. It is not one single invention that replaced the power plant. It is an entire system, built piece by piece, that together does the job that traditional power plants used to do, but cleaner, and in many cases more efficiently. And this is the part that tends to surprise people the most. This was not some overnight miracle. This took years of construction, years of trial and error, years of engineers solving problem after problem that had never been solved at this scale before. Entire industries had to be built from scratch just to produce enough solar panels, enough wind turbines, enough batteries, and enough transmission cable to make this possible. Factories that build solar panels today did not exist 20 years ago. Companies that manufacture batteries for entire cities were tiny startups just over a decade ago. China essentially built the entire supply chain for this transformation while building the transformation itself at the same time, which is part of why it is difficult for other countries to simply copy what has been done here. There's also something deeper going on beneath all of this engineering, something related to how China thinks about long-term planning versus how many other countries approach infrastructure. Most nations tend to react to energy problems only once they become urgent, once prices spike, once shortages hit, once the public starts complaining. China's approach here was different. It was planned years in advance, treated less like a reaction to a crisis and more like the construction of a long-term national asset, something to be built steadily over decades rather than rushed in response to an emergency. And whether you agree with the politics behind that approach or not, the results are difficult to ignore when you look at the numbers behind how much electricity is now being generated this way. But there is still one more layer to this story that we have not touched yet, something that explains not just how this system works, but why it matters far beyond China's own borders, and what it could mean for the rest of the world watching closely. That is exactly where we are heading next. So why does any of this matter beyond China's own borders? Here's the part that connects everything we have talked about to the bigger picture. Every country on Earth is facing the same basic problem. Populations are growing, energy demand is rising, and the old model of burning fuel to generate electricity is becoming harder to justify, both economically and environmentally. For decades, the common argument against renewable energy was simple. It sounds nice, but it cannot realistically power an entire modern economy. It is too unreliable, too expensive, too limited. China's electricity system is quietly dismantling that argument, not through debate, but through raw numbers and working infrastructure that is already powering hundreds of millions of homes every single day. This matters because other countries are now watching closely, some with admiration, some with concern, and some with a mixture of both. The United States has its own renewable energy projects, but nothing at the scale or speed of what has happened in China over the past 2 decades. Europe has been investing heavily in wind and solar as well, but many European countries are still heavily dependent on imported fuel for a large portion of their electricity needs. India, with its own massive population and growing energy demand, is watching China's model extremely closely because the geography and scale problems China solved are strikingly similar to challenges India will need to solve in the coming years. Even smaller nations, ones that could never build something at China's scale, are studying the individual pieces, the pumped hydro storage, the battery farms, the ultra-high voltage transmission lines, and asking how those specific pieces might be adapted to fit their own smaller grids. There is also a manufacturing angle to this story that quietly reshapes global trade. Because China did not just build solar farms and wind farms for itself. In the process of building all of this infrastructure at home, it also built the largest manufacturing base in the world for solar panels, wind turbines, and batteries. This means that a huge percentage of the renewable energy equipment being installed in other countries right now, from small residential solar setups to massive commercial wind farms, is either manufactured in China or built using components that came from Chinese factories. So even if a country never adopts China's exact model, it is still, in a very real sense, connected to this transformation, simply through the global supply chain that made cheap renewable energy equipment available to the rest of the world in the first place. Of course, none of this means the system is perfect or without criticism. Building infrastructure at this scale comes with real costs, real trade-offs, and real questions about resource use, land use, and the human and environmental impact of massive dam projects in particular. There are valid conversations to be had about how this transformation happened, who it displaced, and what it cost along the way. This video is not about ignoring those questions. It is about understanding the mechanics of how the system itself actually works. Because you cannot have an informed opinion about the trade-offs until you actually understand what was built and why. What makes this story genuinely remarkable, though, is the sheer scale of ambition behind it. 20 years ago, if you had told energy experts that a country could generate a massive share of its electricity from sunlight, wind, and water, store the surplus efficiently, and move it thousands of kilometers with minimal loss, most would have said it was decades away from being realistic at a national level. China did not wait for the technology to become perfect before building at scale. It built at scale while the technology was still improving, and in doing so, it helped drive down costs for solar panels and batteries for the entire world, not just for itself. Prices that used to make renewable energy a luxury have dropped dramatically over the past 15 years, and a significant part of that drop is directly tied to the manufacturing scale China built to support its own electricity transformation. Step back for a moment and think about what this really represents. This is not a story about one invention or one breakthrough moment. It is a story about patience, long-term planning, and the willingness to build unglamorous infrastructure, transmission lines, storage facilities, dam systems year after year without expecting instant results. It is easy to get excited about a flashy new battery technology or a headline-grabbing solar breakthrough. It is much harder to stay committed to building thousands of kilometers of transmission cable or hundreds of pumped hydro stations quietly over 2 decades without the kind of instant payoff that makes for exciting news coverage. But that patient, unglamorous work is exactly what made this transformation possible. And that is really the core lesson hidden inside this entire story. The biggest changes in how the world works rarely happen through a single dramatic moment. They happen through years of consistent, deliberate construction that most people simply are not paying attention to while it is happening. By the time the results become impossible to ignore, by the time deserts full of solar panels and mountains lined with wind turbines start showing up in satellite images, the transformation has already been underway for a very long time. China's electricity system did not appear overnight, and it is not going to be replicated overnight by anyone else either. But understanding how it was built gives us a much clearer picture of where the rest of the world's energy systems might be heading in the coming decades. If this video helped you understand something you did not know before, drop a comment and tell me what surprised you the most, because I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what we cover next on this channel. And if you think someone else would find this as interesting as you just did, share this video with them, because stories like this deserve to reach more people who are curious about how the world actually works behind the headlines. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next one.